So good morning. Today, Ryan Harper podcast, still douchey. I got Christiana Yebra in the studio. I'm really excited because, you're the bee's knees of Dallas.
Oh, God.
Everything. CEO of Vouchap.
Oh.
I don't know why I'm doing this morning.
Shake it out.
Shake it out, yeah. So the reason I wanted you to bring in here is obviously you're awesome, but we were literally just talking about this Monday with Kaylee McMahon, and what I wanted to talk to her or to you about is what I actually tell her in private all the time, which is you need to separate business and personal life. Mm-hmm. And I kind of alluded this to you on a text with you is like, and maybe this is just me and my own perception about you is like you're always very friendly, you're always very approachable, but at the same time, at least to me, you're very, very professional in the sense that I know nothing about your personal life. Yeah. Like, I don't know if you're married. I don't know if you have kids. I don't know if you're dating. And I don't know if that's by design or if that's just like, I don't know. But my point of bringing that up is like with Kaylee, it seems like I hate to say like Kaylee, like it's about her, but it seems like that might be a common trend for people where those boundaries get crossed. Yeah. And my perception of you is those boundaries maybe don't get crossed. Mm-hmm. So that's what I want to talk about.
Okay. All right. People will say that all the time, actually. And it's not necessarily on purpose. Well, a little bit, components of it are calculated, but right. Just recently I've heard that more often than ever, where it's like, I don't really know much about anything other than what you've kind of disclosed on podcasts recently. Right. So that's interesting. A compliment though. Yeah. I think I take it as a compliment that I do a good job of that. But.
So if it is by design, it is calculated. Like how do you get there? And I know that might sound ridiculous, but for like me, you can ask Tommy, like I'm notorious at oversharing because like, I don't know. And that's why I wanted to have Alana in yesterday about how do you have that public persona and that private persona? Mm-hmm. Like, it just blows my mind.
Yeah. Well, I think the rise of social media has changed people's ability to keep some things private, and it takes a lot of self-control to do that, especially if you're already in a public setting. Thank you. In high school, Facebook was available, but Instagram and Snapchat were not. Right. And so you only got to see, you got to see what people were willing to post on their Facebook wall. I hate Facebook memories pop up and the things I was willing to share on Facebook. Like at 11 p.m. I'm at Walmart, guys. I'm just letting you know. And now, like, you wouldn't know. But yeah.
So are you saying you're anti-Walmart?
No, I love Walmart, but okay. I grew up in Central Texas. Like hanging out at Walmart was like the it spot at the time. But no, I in high school, I think that time frame was just very different. Kids now, my little brother's 16, and to watch how he interacts, they communicate almost 100% through Snapchat. And it's in microsecond, seconds of the day. Here's where I am. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm watching. Here's what I'm listening to. And I just didn't have that. And it's available now, but I'm very sensitive to kind of the ability to withhold some information and then show people what's important, I think.
Well, like I know for me, like I never really got into the Snapchat or the Instagram stories game until recently on stories on Instagram, but I still don't do Snapchat because in my opinion, like it's hard enough to do any content. Yeah. And you're like, wait a minute, the content I'm doing, you want me to do content and then just throw it away? It's only available for 24 hours? Yeah. Like, no, I work my ass off for this shit. Yeah. Yeah. So like that Snapchat, TikTok world, I can't.
I think it's when it's forced, it feels a lot more. If you've found a way to make it feel very natural and it's highlights of, not always literally the highlights, but components of your life that are, maybe start a conversation. My favorite things to post are when people send me funny messages on LinkedIn. Okay. Or when funny responses I've gotten or something that starts a conversation. I'm not going to post. Rarely will I post like, here's what I'm eating. Here's my Starbucks drink I get every day.
What is your Starbucks drink?
This is a Trenta ice cream tea. It is as big as my head, but it's delicious. I don't drink coffee. Okay. People get very upset with me that I don't like coffee. But
I wouldn't get upset.
It's offensive to people. Same thing with sushi. I'm like, I'm not really big into sushi and
so you hear
friendships over it.
So it's talking about personal stuff. It's like, you've heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. She likes Trente green teas, and she doesn't like sushi.
Doesn't like coffee and sushi.
So, but going back to the calculation of, oversharing versus undersharing is just, did you just have insight because growing up, being in that Facebook world, going, okay, I probably don't need to overshare.
Yeah.
Internet's forever. Because that's the one thing that I don't think kids these days realize is the internet's forever.
Yeah, one screenshot away.
Yeah.
I grew up in a military family, and my dad has been part of really important things that I can't talk about, and he most of the time can't talk about. And I remember feeling like when he could tell us a little bit, but he couldn't tell us the whole thing, like how important it was. That was something he owned and he knew he was really important, but it wasn't about, publicizing it. I mean, things he literally legally probably couldn't say that he was involved in. And I remember there was a sense of pride associated to that. Like, that's mine. I know that, and I'm loyal to my country, and I'm loyal. And so seeing that, I think from an early age, it played a factor. But then I've had very public relationships with public faces that are massive now, and being very public about that never added anything to the relationship. Even though it was a public, people knew who that person was on a pretty large, stage, if you will. Including everyone in that never added anything to that relationship. It always came back to, who are we when we're not in front of everyone, or who are you off the field, or who are you, and that was more important. And so having an opportunity to have something that was very public and very glitz and glammy, or what people would think, realizing that being super public about it added literally nothing to our relationship. It set the tone for what I would be like further on into my adult career of, not only just in business, but in personal life too. So I saw that was a chance, I think, where I think most girls would have started a t-shirt line or a bag company, because they now could be associated with a big voice and a big, persona.
Right.
And I didn't have that. I wasn't interested in that.
What's interesting about that is, like, when you're talking about being associated or had public relationships, because I have a friend that used to be dating somebody, and when they were dating, like, they're both so-called influencers, but there was nothing, unless you knew, you didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, but it wasn't like, it's not like they went out of their way not to be public about it. Like, it's not like they didn't go to dinner or something like that.
Yeah.
But you just wouldn't know. And I was like, and in some ways I was like, it's kind of weird. But on the other sense, it was like, again, what value would it bring?
Yeah.
All it's going to do is the downfall of being public about that relationship is, people are going to be jealous on either side.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe my audience is not your audience, and who cares anyway?
Yeah.
So
there's a very large component of this that is still true to this day. I've been in a relationship with someone for 3.5 years. And a lot of people don't know that.
To this day. Okay.
And we've gone through different waves, and there are times where we've spent some time apart, and sometimes where we've been very not public, but out and about. And this wasn't necessarily calculated in this particular relationship, but take the relationship out of it. I wanted to be very independent on my own.
Right.
And in business, and then professionally and personally, I wanted to be known as my own individual, and what I contributed to a business, and what I contributed maybe even to a relationship. I wanted to be very recognized for what it is I brought to the table, not Christiana and so-and-so. Kind of like how we've been talking about companies. Like, when you take on the brand and become the face, and people you represent what that company is, it's very hard for people to start to distinguish between the two. So it kind of all gets blurred. So if one component of that gets taken away, are you left feeling about half of who you were before?
I will say, in a lot of ways, for me personally, it's something I would never, because, and I was talking to Tommy about this yesterday, is so much of my life the past 2 years has been looking at analytics for YouTube, looking at analytics for social media for the company. And now that's not a part of me anymore. I'm like, I have like separation anxiety from work.
Yep.
Even though I can now do that for myself, but that pride that was built in that. So obviously that's not, a marriage or a girlfriend or whatever, but in a lot of ways it makes sense to me.
Yeah. And I think something too is, like, I work in the dating space.
Yeah.
And so it makes it very easy for people to want to talk about that. And I've had to be very clear that I run a dating company, But that doesn't mean that you can slide into my LinkedIn messages and say, I had a guy the other day who I couldn't, at first I wasn't going to respond. I was like, I have some good Instagram content. And he said, hi, are you a customer of Vouch? And I said, no, I'm the CEO of Vouch. What would you like to know about the company? And he was like, no, but are you a customer of Vouch? And I was like, a customer. I was like, am I a user of Vouch? And I was like, I use Vouch every day. And he just kept picking. And it wasn't, hi, how are you doing? Awesome business. It had nothing to do with that. He was just simply trying to ask if he downloaded Vouch, would he find me on the app? And you will, because I've built a fun page, and it's been fun to have people vouch for me. And I show that as a demo, but I'm not necessarily actively trying to match with people.
Right.
But to say, like, going back to feeling so paired up with a business or a brand or a hobby, whatever it is, if that gets taken away, who do you have for yourself? And so I focused really, really hard on building confidence on my own, which I didn't have in high school. I didn't have that in college. I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. I still don't know what I want to do. But in the startup world, it's very hard to maintain, your independence as a young person in a startup, and as a young female in the startup world, it was even harder for me. And so I learned, honestly, the hard way.
Well, even when you're going through talking about that and being, customer or a CEO or whatever, a Vouch, like for me, make sure my phone is off. For me, like when I was talking about how for my perception of you, just being approachable, being all these things, but not knowing anything about personal, I also, let me throw in, I also don't get a vibe of, you're not allowed to ask that. You're not allowed to talk about that. And I don't get a push off. I don't get an angry anti, how dare you? Yeah. But you just, for me personally. How dare you? You like that?
Yeah. Thank you. Well timed. Okay. Waiting for that second.
There you go. No, but yes, but I don't, because again, that's why I'm so fascinated about talking to you right now is for me, it seems very neutral. And again, I'm only going off my perceptions, and I'm glad to hear that it is calculated in a way.
Yeah.
Because again, I don't feel like you're pushing off that conversation, but I also don't feel like you're inviting it also.
Yeah. Well, something I try to emphasize to, let's just say my little brother, is you're right, the internet is forever, and being a kind person online gets you, and offline, on and offline, gets you a lot further than being someone who's controversial or who causes people to, I unfollow people daily, not necessarily because I don't like them, but the content that they push or the message they're pushing doesn't add anything to me. Me communicating about my relationship probably isn't going to be as impactful to a young female as hearing, I've been told no 1,000 times. I've argued for money. I've argued for titles. I've argued for all these things, and showing her that I got and won what I wanted in business, it's going to be more impactful and I think more effective to a young girl than hearing that, I've been broken up with, or I've been in a relationship, and here, like, I just don't think that adds that much to who I am. And what I try to do by impacting, especially young women in business, but just anyone in business, like, that's not as meaningful as what I can do on a stage and talking about the causes and things that I care about. It doesn't feel like I'm not a relationship expert. I mean, I work in dating, but I don't, I'm not an expert on how to date. I'm not an expert on even how to be the best girlfriend. I've definitely not been in some instances, but again, the lessons learned are more impactful when it comes to business for me on a public setting than anything I can teach anyone about relationships.
Well, and what's funny though, is like, I want to ask, well, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Because I don't know how you would do that. Like, it's like, well, just don't share. Just don't say those things. But hearing that your dad was like intelligent, or I don't know if he was intelligent, but he was in a job where he couldn't talk about it. Like, and those lessons carried over to you, like, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to give advice to, say, a Kaylee, what are some actionable things that maybe she could approach? Man, I really can't talk. He was saying yesterday how Alana was just like so.
Oh, she's so profound and
like well spoken and just
everything.
well, like, and he's like, well, no shit, she lives on TV, she has to, but next to you look like an ogre.
Oh.
You know, like, and sound like one too. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is like the lessons learned, like how would you translate into words for advice? I
look at people that I'm inspired by, and just I mean, like, not necessarily just professionally, but just generally. I look at people that that are people I adore, I look up to, and I look at what it is about those people that I really do care about. So I would tell Kaylee, I don't know who inspires you. I don't know if it's a person in business. I don't know if it's Beyonce. I don't know who it is, but who adds like this fire and fuel, to get you excited or motivated. And then look at what it is about that person that gives you those feelings. And is it because that she drank a glass of wine before she got on an airplane? No. Is it because, well, I don't know, maybe possibly. But what about that person, motivates you and is inspiring? And it'll just give you little glimpses into what truly does matter and what is just fluff. And when it comes to just, distinguishing between professional and, I'm not telling people that they shouldn't blend the two. Some of my favorite human beings are very public about everything about their friendships and family, everything in business. They're very public about it. But they've had a hard time because it's so public. If they go through a breakup or a death in the family or, whatever it is that's very personal to them, it is very hard for them to pull the two apart. They've got to be very honest and open about it. And not that people shouldn't be honest and open all the time, but when you've put all of your cards on the table, it's really hard to try and say, well, something difficult's happening over here. I'm going to just scoop these off the side. Right. And, I think, when you set an expectation about what's being shared, and I'm kind of only gearing towards social media, but just personally, like if you decide you want to share everything, it is very difficult to come and pull that back, because now like people are interested or they are curious. And I don't know if that's necessarily tangible, but if she could look at, people that she looks up to and decide, what it is about that person that really is meaningful to you, it's probably not the extra crap that adds nothing to conversation. It's probably the really impactful moments of business and maybe some of the difficulties of personal life too, but it's a good balance of two. I don't love drama. I don't need people all in my business all the time. And the times where I've spent some time in difficult situations with my current relationship, no one knows that. Mm-hmm. And not because I want to be alone in that, but more so I want you to come to my events, not because you're worried about what's happening in my personal life. I want you to come to my event because it's a dope event and there's good people and smart people like Alana are hosting it with me or whoever. I don't want it to be blurred and confused and muffled by what might be happening outside of that. And I'm very candid about, you're saying I'm not shying away from, I'm not pushing you and shoving you away from this. Right. I'm very candid about it. I've been very honest, almost too honest, I think, in some of my recent podcasts and settings where I'm giving little glimpses of it, but I'm not handing it all out. I'm giving little glimpses of what has been challenging to me personally in the last 5 years of selling. My first startup that I was ever a part of sold in less than a year. No. It doesn't exist anymore. No one uses it. Like it's one of my most successful failures. But that was 5 years ago, 2015. Like that blows my mind. Like to have that to where I'm at now is really, really crazy. And there's little sprinkles of really challenging things that happen personally and professionally at the same thing. But I do want to show people in a way, like I'll give little glimpses of what I think helped contribute to my success and what also distracted me so that someone might be able to learn those lessons. So
going to the event side of things, like what would you say your profession is? Because I know currently you're CEO of Vouch, but you've also host events and you throw events and you've been pitched, hey, can you throw an event for me? Like, are you a marketer? Are you an event coordinator? Are you how would you define your role as a profession?
I got an award the other day. Don't put the applause because I'm very self-conscious about this award. I got awarded Entrepreneur of the Year.
Womp womp. And
I thought to myself, I don't think that I know that I'm not. And this is not imposter syndrome. Like I'm not saying I don't deserve this is not it, but I'm not the Entrepreneur of the Year. Like there are so many really fantastic people putting together fantastic businesses that are just thriving and getting acquired and making a lot of money and employing a lot of people. That's not me. Like I have businesses that make money and employ people, but I'm not, no. And nothing I'm doing is groundbreaking either. I try to put that out there. Like I'm not some innovator. I'm just taking simple concepts of doing well. Anyway, I wanted that award to be about building community, because if I can look back at what I've done in let's just say the last 2 years, it has been building a damn good community around millennial clubs, around the events that I host. I have 2 other event brands that I have worked on. Same thing with Vouch, is bringing single people and taking people together to talk about challenges in the same room. And every event that I do is just a complement of that community and the talking points that exist in that community, or the challenges that exist in that community. So I kind of wanted that award to be about building community, because I don't think that makes me an entrepreneur. I think it makes me a people person, and that I do love to bring people together to talk about all kinds of things.
But I would say that, I know you don't want it, but congratulations. But I think awards like that are the community you're in. Because like we were talking about this before we started, about how neither one of us have like large follower accounts or whatever, but we're both connected to, well, probably you more so than I, but are connected to some cool people. And the people that follow you or follow me are pretty cool, and they have followings. So the fact that you got that award, you may feel, again, not imposter syndrome, but it's like, meh.
Yeah.
But it's your peers that feel that way. So I think, hey, kudos to you.
Yeah, and it's not to take away from because there are other people who were honored at that same event, and it wasn't that again, it's not that I feel like I don't deserve an award. I don't deserve to be recognized for something exciting, but I wish there was a way to just what you're asking me. I don't know how to describe that. I don't know how to describe that. It doesn't matter what business I have, whether it's dating or a photo booth company or a networking organization. Every element of that is thought out, and how it drives people together. Like nothing, I mean, it's so silly, but nothing makes me happier than watching people react to the videos they get from my 360 photo booth. Actually, some of my favorite ones are from the event that we worked with you, where people have never seen themselves in that view. And if it's a wedding or it's a birthday party or something, to watch 2 50-year-old ladies jump on there and have the time of their lives brings me so much joy. And in a little way, this is this little community of an event, of a wedding or a birthday party or whatever it is. And it's so fun to watch people come together. And we built that. That's mine. That was my idea. That was, Jim helped me put that all together. But that was something that was so powerful to me. And a mini community for 2 hours of a wedding. Love it.
But that's what's so crazy about the whole just networking in general, and who you know, is I didn't know you were even part of that company until after
that event.
Yeah, I didn't know you were associated with it. Yeah.
How did we get connected first?
Because I was Jim was working with Daniel at Propelio about some software stuff, and he was saying, "Hey, I'm working on this new thing."
Yeah.
And it's kind of, and I don't think y'all had any events booked up. And I was like, well, shit, I got an event if you want to beta test it with me. So literally our event, like I didn't pay you. It was a beta test.
Yeah. And I remember that because Jim had told me we were taking it to a real estate event, and it was right around, what was that, May? April, May?
It was a year. It was like a long time ago. Maybe July. Sometime
around there. I had just launched. So it's called Currently. It's my initials are CY. So my businesses are Currency and Currently. That's me. That's so funny to me. Well, I'm so embarrassed by it. No, that's so great. I love that. So that's how you met. Is that how we got connected first?
No.
How did we meet each other first?
I don't know. Probably some random event, some random thing LinkedIn. With LinkedIn, maybe. I think it was one of those LinkedIn things, because what I've noticed is, like, especially in the real estate world, we're kind of like in our own little world at all. Like, we're not real entrepreneurs. We just buy shit.
Yeah.
But like in the LinkedIn startup world, it's like, and not to sound disparaging, but they take themselves way too seriously.
Oh God, yeah.
And it's like, and I'm thinking to myself, because like even in that LinkedIn influencer world, in the startup community world, I'm like, I'm looking at you, and I see all of y'all talking a big game, but like, do y'all make any money? You know, like, but and then again, somehow you got into the equation in that era of me just being in this kind of trying to network, trying to be out there, and I'm like, and I see you, and I'm going, okay, well, so one of my catchphrases is everyone's full of shit. And like when I was looking at you, I was like, I don't get that. I don't get the I don't smell shit.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
No, but it's like, so.
Where's the applause? Thank you.
No, do the other drop, the hope one.
Oh.
You all come to us young people.
Oh my
For hope.
God. We're all going to hell for this.
I know. No, but anyway, my point being is like that. I guess I don't have a point. We were just talking about how do we met, and we went on this long tangent.
That you didn't think I was full of shit.
Correct.
Yeah. That was my phone. R.I.P.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay. Yeah. No, I thought there was legitimacy there, and again, maybe that's because of this persona that at least I've soaked in from you, which is the professional, friendly. I don't feel pushed off, but at the same time, I don't feel invited.
No.
You know, I just don't feel like it's appropriate to ever be anything other than just friendly professional.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like for me, you're the first person that's ever like I've ever been around like, oh, I would feel weird being like, hey, here, have a beer. Or I don't know. I don't
well, so someone the other day, this was in years where people say, like, tell us about the Dallas community and Dallas and business. I'm like, I think I'm the best example of this. Like, it doesn't take a lot to start building a name. I mean, when I first started and got started in the startup community, it was Launch DFW. Someone sent me RIP to Launch DFW, I think is closed now. But someone said to me, you should go to this event. Product Hunt was hosting an event at Startup Week. That was my first communication with the startup. I mean, just my first exposure to startup world. And that was literally 5 years ago. And it didn't take 3-4 months for me to start to become the person that people came to for startup related resources. And I was like, I'm fresh out of the ER. I was working in ER and trauma. Like I don't know anything about the startup world. And it shows you like Dallas, it doesn't take a lot to build a name for yourself,
right.
But to become a trusted, resource and a trusted individual and an advocate for good things and great causes and haven't gotten into trouble and haven't been blasted in a scandal. Some of the investors and the people I met in the startup community that I thought, wow, they've got it together are in a lot of trouble. Like in the last couple of years have been blasted online. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but people that were just crushing it that I was waiting to have a meeting with, like went to jail and got blasted online for terrible things they did. And so again, it's not hard to make a name for yourself, but to stay true to who you are and what you're doing and do it well and do it with good intentions. Like that does take skill. And you can see there are people that people talk about as being kind of the, I don't want to say entrepreneurs because I hate that word, but full shit.
Right.
With just a really good brand that they've plastered over it and a good team that acts on their behalf, and represents them well, but they themselves, not good people.
Well, for me, I've tried to be as authentic as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I feel that.
And the irony about that is like, the more I tell people I'm broke as a joke, they all think, oh, you own Propelio, you do this. Yeah. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So it's a weird concept there, like being authentic, but people not believing you.
Yeah. No, like, no, seriously.
No, seriously,
seriously, it's me.
When I say Venmo me $1, Brian does Harper, I mean Venmo me $1.
That's right. $5 for you.
There you go. It's a weird thing. It's almost people don't expect you to, what were you like in high school? Did people love you? Did you have a really good time in high school?
It was, I'm one of those, like, I don't want to say, I thought he was find some kind of like stupid button. Or he was going to chime in.
I was going to say you're a cheerleader.
Yeah. So, well, I was I'm a fat kid now, but like I went through that like a big dude. So I was like, so I was in the choir, I was in the show choir, I was in football, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I was always an extrovert, but I was also very like probably self-conscious about whatever. Yeah. But in between my junior and senior year, like I signed up for the Marines. I lost a ton of weight, and literally like my yearbook, I'm like, I have this debate with a buddy of mine all the time. Were you popular in high school? I'm like, I went to a high school with like 3,000 kids.
Yeah.
Is there really such thing as a popular thing? Like, I guess, but not really. But yes, I did I was very versatile because I did musicals. I did like in college, I was in rugby. I was a Marine.
Where'd you go to school?
North Texas.
Oh.
So.
What's our?
Caw-caw.
I have no school spirit. I've never been back to UND after
I was a cheerleader there.
Oh, wow.
I have 2 national titles in cheerleading, and I still don't go back.
I've been very into cheer on Netflix lately. Because I think physically, okay, sorry, I'm going to go on my own little tangent.
Go
I'm not
for
good
it.
at anything. Like, other than building communities, that's about it. But I'm not built to, like, play any sports or be super competitive. But cheerleading, I could have been a cheerleader if I had tried. I could have made Matt. Did you guys actually say that? Is that something that was said, or did the show ruin it?
I've always made Matt, so I've never said that in my life.
Okay. Well, the reason why I asked about high school is that I still get the same comment said to me that's like, I didn't think that I would like you, or you looked very angry and not like somebody I would get along with. Or one of my best friends now literally said to me the first time she met me, which I was doing a photo shoot for Vouch in her co-working space at Central office downtown. And she said, I saw you and I saw what you were doing and I saw people around you and I thought that girl would never be my friend. Mm-hmm. And I thought she meant that as like, I could never be friends with that girl. But she thought, there's no way I could be friends with her. She's doing too much. She's probably not nice. She's probably, and she's trying to be it in like a compliment. Yeah. And when I first took it, was like, oh, she thought she couldn't be friends with me because I was whatever way. Right. And she didn't realize that I'm very, goofy, and I love to hang out. I love to take care of my friends, and I have a lot of really great friendships. But I kind of have a maybe not to you, but somewhat of a harder exterior where slap the microphone, where I have really bad RBF, and if I'm focused, I'm really focused, and if I'm working hard, I'm pretty quiet. And
resting bitch face.
Thank you. I don't want to say it. Who's watching this?
Nobody.
Can you tell?
Yeah.
Nobody's watching it?
Well, there's a couple.
I should have texted people.
To me, so tangent away. Like, this is a brand new thing for me. So it's a weird concept of going from a channel where you would have on average like 100 people watching live, and then thousands of people watching after the fact. And now it's like, hi.
If I do an Instagram live, nobody watches it except for my mom. I think she has my notifications. Like she gets a notification.
I'll switch it to close friends.
My mom she'll dial in. No, I think that's fine. I just wasn't. I don't want to say.
Resting bitch face.
Yeah. I cuss so much. I was focused so hard on not saying bad words. But when I get excited, I have very colorful language.
I'm always of the mindset of however you want to be branded, go for it. Like if you want to have that persona and project that, go for it. But I'd rather just be real.
Yeah.
You know? But the cheer world, like I still can throw people in the air. So if you want to learn that, let's go. They have.
I'm not very.
Have you ever done acro yoga? Do you even know what that is?
Alana's done it. Did you talk to her about this?
I have not.
I saw a video. She was doing it for a segment. I think it's where you like hang in. No, not acro. Or on a person. Two people. Okay, just kidding. I'm getting the two confused. What's the one where you're like hanging from things and it looks like Cirque du Soleil?
I think that's like. I forgot what they call it. It's like either ribbons or sheets or something. But it's like they hang from curtains on the ceiling. And
okay, different. Cool acro yoga is when people.
It's basically partner yoga where like you do different positions and get thrown around.
I've never done that. I don't do yoga, just generally. So.
I don't either. No, but like but a lot of like older cheerleader types get into that just because it's a little easier on the body and I still prefer throwing people in the air versus the acro yoga stuff just because like I don't have the flexibility for the acro stuff.
Yeah.
But like I could pick you up and hold you over my head with one arm, no problem.
Aerial silk dancing.
Ah.
Thank you, Google.
Thanks.
But
no, I've never done that, but that's cool. I didn't. When did you go to UNT? How long ago was that?
In between 99 and 08.
Okay.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
In between, so my freshman year so I've been a serial entrepreneur all my life.
Yeah.
In the sense that like if there was an opportunity, like it wasn't a squirrel, it was a calculated. I'm going for it. Like school's there forever. Screw you. I'm gonna go pursue this thing. So I started doing real estate like in 2002ish. And had a company but again, I was stupid. I was 21, 22 years old and I was partnered up with a dude that's in his 40s and like I was the face, I was doing all this stuff and I thought I was doing that. So I literally would be up till 8 a.m. not partying. I was never a partier, but like in Denton at the old clubs over there and then drive to Fort Worth at 8 a.m. for an 8 a.m. closing on properties. And anyway, after about a year and a half or 2 or whatever, doing that, I was on vacation in like Colorado, whatever. Came back and the bank accounts were cleared out, and nobody would answer my phone. But at the time, I was young and I didn't really understand lawyers, so I just said, "Screw it, go back to college, go cheer again."
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
Yeah, that's how I felt about the medical world. I really wanted to be an ER physician or a trauma surgeon. And then the opportunity
your face got really excited about being a trauma surgeon.
I miss it. I don't think I'd want to be in the ER right now. I also worked in the ER with the Ebola crisis. So like all of the news has been a lot of flashbacks.
That was like
too.
a year ago. Or was that
Ebola?
Was that like 6
when
years ago?
Ebola was in Dallas?
How long ago was that?
That was like 5-6 years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah. Because anyway. With all of the news recently, so
Christiana,
I
what
loved
did you talk about on that podcast?
Ebola and cheerleading.
Woo-hoo. That's what the people really want to know.
That's what they wanted to know. But I really did love it. But my point is that I had the opportunity to be part of a business, and all the physicians I worked with were like, "Look, dude, if you're good at anything else, or you have any other interests, or you just want to try something, and you have the opportunity to do it, do that now. Clinical world will always be here until we're all robots. We're gonna need healthcare providers." And I was like, okay.
Well, in the clinical world, yes, and I'm going to assume a lot here. Yes, you need to know what the product you're trying to push, but it seems like it's a sales job where it's mainly relationships. You're just building relationships.
No. So I literally worked in ER and trauma, not on the sales side, like on the clinical supporting physician side.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. That was right out of college. I took a break between undergrad. I did biology and chemistry, and then wanted to go to medical school.
So you'd go in and like show them how to use the products and such?
Oh no.
Like I don't know what the.
You don't know anything about me.
I've told you that. I led with that. The only way I can learn about
LinkedIn, it's so funny. If you look at my LinkedIn right now,
read?
it'll say emergency room physician or emergency room medical scribe.
Okay. Was
5 years ago, 6 years ago, and then now.
What the hell does that even mean?
So, I wonder if I don't know if they still have these jobs. So anyway, so in the ER, physicians walk around with these. They're called cows. They are these like moving carts that have a laptop on them, and you're supposed to move around and type your notes, and it's supposed to for electronic medical records, which not that long ago we were still doing paper charts.
Right.
Anyway, there was this big call to do everything electronically, so physicians were expected to push these cows around and take notes on their patients so they could build this electronic, medical record of who this person was, and it could be easily sent to other doctors and whatever. And so every encounter, every word you say to that patient, every medication you order, all of that had to be documented for billing purposes, and then also just to legally and have a good record of what was happening. So they had this job that was called ER scribe, where you could basically be hands-on with physicians and patients with no training at all. So I could some kids that I worked with were still in college.
That's comforting.
No degree, but not providing patient care, just documenting it. So you did go through extensive training to learn how to type, think, listen like a doctor. And that was my first job, truly my first job after Outback Steakhouse, in the clinical world. And I loved it. I thrived on it. I didn't love overnight shifts, but beyond that, I really loved working with physicians and thinking like them and being expected to kind of almost guess what they were going to say, because that was the fastest way to finish your chart. And
so where did the commission's role come into play?
So man, okay. If I could summarize, I'm going to do this in 1 minute or less.
Please do.
Okay. So ER scribe, met an ER physician who was working on a company in the healthcare space. I joined that team as employee number 1.
So that was a startup.
That was a startup.
Oh, okay.
So I helped it was part of the founding team, launched it in Dallas. March 2015. December 2015, Children's Health buys us. That was my first experience in business job. I mean, anything out of the ER and Outback Steakhouse, I smelled like bloomin' onions for like 4 years of my life. Outside of that was my first real job. Mm-hmm. And then we sold it, 2015. And then I got picked up by another startup to do marketing, but they realized I had clinical background and could speak to the physicians. And so I got moved into, and I almost declined it, into like a hybrid marketing sales role / clinical training. So I would also train the physicians on how to use these products, help them build their marketing, plans and build their practices, and then work with their whole teams to speak the language to the patients. And like, that was my second big girl job. And that was where the commission, like that whole debacle. And then in between all of that started Millennial Clubs, currently Currency, and Millennials for STEM. So I've had this whole persona that people don't know that I have a medical background.
Yeah.
Like I used to give flu shots. People are like, it's just really funny to me. Like people have no concept of me ever wearing scrubs. Like if you knew me in the beginning of startup world, I would show up to events after a shift in scrubs because I didn't want to miss out. So people were like, "Are you okay? Did you just get out of the hospital?" I'm like, "No, I was working at the hospital."
So it's kind of like a butterfly, because it's like I could see, obviously the scrub world, scrub life, vomit on you or whatever. I don't know if you're ever around that.
Oh, yeah.
But then it's like, oh, look at you now.
Oh God. Yeah, it was really funny because people didn't.
Well, we were literally just talking about a 2 a.m. call time for a morning show. Like, how do you transition to go from the scrub life to
it's so funny to look at. I mean, I cannot like make this stuff up. That's why I feel like that I owe it to the world to be candid about my experiences in business. Yeah. And because I truly do, and why personal life is okay, but look at how weird this whole time span has been. And my lifetime in business has been very rapid fire, a lot of changes. In that position with the first startup that I was part of, it was on-demand urgent care. I begged and begged for a title that I never got, even though I helped design and implement social strategy and how we would lead marketing and how we would find all of our new patients. I never got the title that I wanted or the salary that I wanted, even though I was part of that team, because I was young. And like they knew I had just been working in ER, getting thrown up on, in Medical Center Plano not long ago. Like they knew that I didn't have a lot to stand on to ask for. And that's why having ownership in any of these companies and a CEO title in 5 years for where I was, ridiculed over a font I chose to now beginning to decide what that font is. And if we put it upside down or if we flip it, whatever it is, I get to make those decisions. It's very strange to me, the whole thing.
I suck at that too, though, even at the ripe age of 28. Because I'm 28.
We're the same age.
Yeah, exactly. But because that's why the entrepreneur life is better for me, mainly because I know I'm valuable and I know I bring a lot to the table, but I suck at asking for money because I'm a firm believer on this. Like, what I bring to the table, pay me. Yeah. Well, if you can't afford to pay me, that's fine. Just when you can, do it.
Take care of me. Yeah.
Take care of me. But because I'm always like that mentality, but I'm not gonna say it bites me in the ass. It just it goes, hey, here's a carrot, here's a carrot, here's a carrot. Oh, by the way, that carrot doesn't really exist. Yeah. So, and it's just, and that's not recent, that's just always. And so for me, I joke around being unemployed. I was like, well, I'm not really unemployed. I'm self-employed now. Yeah. It's just, there's no revenue. Yep.
You're working on it.
I'm working on it. Yeah. But it's just fascinating to go from, what was that transition like for you to go from the scrub life to now you're the center of attention? Because if you're the scribe and you're taking notes, and I get, there's years you're behind the scenes, you're behind the curtain, and now you're thrust upon being the host, the CEO, you're on TV shows, you're on this glamorous podcast this morning.
Very glamorous.
Very glamorous.
Yeah. It was very isolating, to be honest. And sometimes people think I have a lot of people around me. I mean, I have a lot of friends. I host these big events. There's pictures of me where there's 1,000 people that I'm talking to. And despite all of that, it has been a very lonely journey because I don't really have a lot of people that I can, because my experience is so weird, I don't really know a lot of people that I can say have done the same thing. And I don't think I'll ever find somebody because it is as bizarre.
Friend.
But as a young female, a minority female, my family is not in the business world at all. Military and teachers. I mean, for the most part, 90% of my family is made up of that. To being the first to say, I want to start a business, I want to sell a business, I want to, own a business. All of that was very much figured out on my own. And luckily, I had a lot of people around that had somewhat comparable experiences, but nothing would tee this up for me. Nothing would have prepared me for it. And it, to be honest, and sometimes it sucked pretty bad.
Yeah. I'm about to say something that's going to make me look like a complete idiot, but that's nothing new.
That's okay.
When you said you're a minority, I'm like, really?
You truly? My middle name please don't steal my identity out there. My middle name is literally Margarita. My family is from Mexico. But it, again, I'm culturally ambiguous. I get asked to do. It's funny. I was asked to be part of like a wedding shoot the other day. And they're like, we need some culturally ambiguous.
I can see your headshot now for acting jobs. Culturally ambiguous.
They mean literally that's what and they'll say petite, and then I'm like, so you need a short Mexican girl is what you're saying. That's me. So yeah, and people don't know that.
But I think I don't know if that's just because I'm not saying I'm colorblind or anything. Like it's just. Maybe I'm just not curious about that aspect of people's lives.
It's not, I mean, for some people it's very important. For others, and I to be honest, I appreciate that because I've been in situations where the minority aspect, not so much. Actually, yes, but I won't get into that. But being a young looking, even if I've looked the same age, I feel like since high school, like I don't. And not in a good way, like in a way that people don't take me seriously because I'm young. Not in like, oh, she's super mature. No, I feel like I've probably been turned down on opportunities because I appear very young. And the minority component of it only has made sense. Like my name is kind of unique. And so one time somebody told me that I would probably get more jobs if I changed my name or shortened my name and went by like another persona. And I was like, does it look, what did it look like to you? Like, what did you... That last name is actually an Arabic last name.
Again,
you don't see that. Good for you. There are people that do.
Like, I lived in Dubai and Doha.
Yeah,
like I've lived fully immersed in the Arabic culture.
Well, good
for like
for you.
A year and a half, 2 years.
Can't say the same for everybody else.
I
have friends who have very beautiful like ethnic names, and they have changed their names to very American sounding. Plain Jane.
Well, like even last night, my buddy Tyler was like, I forgot who was asking me, but they're like, it probably wasn't Tyler because Tyler just knows things. But it was so what ethnicity is Alana? I'm like, Mexican.
San Antonio.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Google Sarabia and it's like, yeah, it's a Spanish name.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But like to me, and again, I might be culturally insensitive, but to me, it's like that's like the least interesting thing about somebody.
That's not being. I think that's being. I don't know what's the word, like accepting of all. Like if that's what you're saying, that's not important to you. For some people, it really is. There are people who are at their core. It's not racist. It's they're highly likely to discriminate against somebody who does not look like them. Good for you.
You heard it here first, folks.
Green tea, no sushi. We love all cultures.
And Ryan's not racist.
Thank you for that. No, but I mean, but seriously, I think it's there are large issues that exist around that. And if you have a name like the Ryan Harper podcast over here, you might not have ever experienced that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I love my name, Ryan Scott
That
Harper.
picture, is that the picture from the one I sent you on Instagram? Is that the same one?
I don't know. Which one? This one?
That photo of you? Yeah, I remember I was like, look at that face. Is this the same one?
I don't know. Probably. Well, what that is like, so I was Nancy Cablance, LinkedIn world. I thought you might know her.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, I was speaking at one of her events on social media and in branding and video and all that stuff. And I was like, I realized that the only like picture I had was like Propelio branded out. And I was like, I probably need like just a neutral thing. So literally Travion, I was like, hey, I need some headshots. So we just went over in front of one of the screens and just took a bunch of random pictures. And then he, tweaked out the background. And I was like, here you go. And now I'm like, headshots.
Yeah.
They look like crap, but I'm like, I don't care.
I wasn't joking. Yeah, so that meme that kind of took over where it was like LinkedIn, Facebook.
Oh, yeah. It's
Tinder.
Dolly Parton challenge?
I think she started. I don't know. I saw it on Ellen first. But my friend and I were actually talking about how it's we've got a ton of content that exists out there. I can ask executives from big corporations for their headshots to speak at an event, and you will be, maybe you wouldn't be surprised. You would be surprised how often I get like a photo of them and their family's been cut out. Like I can still see like shoulders of other people, or they took it themselves, or like they don't have a good image of themselves. So he has a company called $100 Headshot where he goes to companies and helps them take photos for, very fair price. But we've been talking about the importance of a digital presence for not, I mean, like that meme, as funny as that is, like you really should have a different image. Do not, for the love of God, use your LinkedIn photo for your Tinder profile, for your whatever other accounts you have. Like there should be your vouch profile. I shouldn't have ever said Tinder, but but it was funny because the Tinder photo was the most scandalous one. And like, that's not what we want at Vouch. We want wholesome, classy
Tinder
photos.
does not exist.
What is Tinder? They're doing great. Thanks, guys. But it was a very distinct, like, I'm not joking. I would love to use you, not this for us to just do it, because I want to show that you've got such a warm personality that you can probably tailor it to be your vouch photo will be you throwing someone to the air. It'll be like your cheer. It'll be me.
Well, we can do that.
Well, but I would love to kind of show you what that looks like, because we think that that's really valuable, and that people, that's the first image or the first, representation of you, whether they Google your name or find you on a dating profile. Like, image does matter, but it's almost like, it's not just like what you look like. It's not attractiveness. It's not like, is someone immediately attracted? Is this a good photo of that person? If I can only see your eye and like part of your nose, like, okay, maybe some of you might be into that, but
maybe
I don't
that's their artistic.
maybe that's how you get the job. But no, I think we would love to do that. I think it'd be a good thing to do.
I'm down. I'm totally down for that. And besides, I still think we should go on an acro yoga date and be like,
yeah,
like, Alana, I know you don't like people, but come on, let's go.
Let's bring Alana.
I didn't mean that, like, she loves people, but she's an introvert.
Same.
Yeah. So, but acro yoga is like it's so stupid. I mean, it's not stupid. It's fun. It's
I feel
very.
like there's a lot. You could be injured easily. Like if someone messes up.
Well, no, because there's usually in that environment, there's usually a lot of people like there to like assist and spot, make sure you don't get hurt. Okay. It's a very like non-judgmental, freeing, just like, hey, let's go play. That's the best way to describe it. It's like, hey, let's all pretend like we're 12 and we're playing in the backyard, and there's nobody's really watching, nobody's judging, nobody's caring, But I think that would be a lot of fun. Actually, I'm down.
Make a note. Is that what this is for? So we can take down notes. Acro. Yes. What was it called again?
Acro yoga.
What was the other one though? Sorry, so I don't confuse the two.
The
Aerial
silk.
Okay,
aerial
not that one. Acro yoga.
Yeah, but that's the silky thingies.
Yeah.
But acro yoga would be fun. And it's funny because like a lot of my old cheer buddies still do that.
That's cool.
So, and then I did about a year ago, I randomly went to a cheer gym, through some videos.
I think I saw that.
Everybody did.
Yeah.
It was my first glimpse at virality.
Ooh.
The good kind.
I feel like I knew. Do we have mutual friends? Like,
yeah.
Why do I feel like there was somebody
Rob,
in that video that
Rob
I knew?
Lowe?
Oh.
Ish.
Yep. Who else? So you knew Jim.
Yeah.
I don't know why I think that in the cheer video, I felt like I knew. Were you at like a? Do I know someone?
Was
who
that
was
champion cheer? There's in that. I don't. It doesn't matter.
It was Rob Lowe.
I know.
Rob Lowe is a cheerleader. That's
no.
In my head.
The only reason I know Rob is we used to host these large like dinner parties at the house I live in.
Yeah.
And a friend of ours, Taylor, she would host it, which meant she would tell all her friends, and then she would spend 5 hours to get ready, and Ryan would cook, and Ryan would do this, and Ryan.
Yeah.
So by the time the dinner party started, I'm like look like shit, sweating my ass off, still doing the barbecue stuff.
Yeah.
Yet Taylor's the host, and and anyway, but like all these random people like Rob and all these other people were coming in, so it was like my first glimpse at the uptown life.
Oh wow!
And but eventually those parties devolved into let's just go get barbecue from like Dickie's, and after that it's not even a dinner party anymore. No. So we just stopped doing them. But they used to be very popular. So anyway, random.
Interesting.
But that's how I know Rob.
That's funny.
Not
I was thinking like we knew. I don't know why I thought someone in the cheer video. I was like, wait, do I know her or him?
I don't know.
I knew you, but anyway.
But it's funny because like I literally was just because we were talking about cheer a lot, and we talked about cheer stuff with Alana, is because that Netflix show, which I still haven't seen yet.
It probably would add anything to your life. If you've never been in that world, it's very fascinating.
Well, but I cheered there, and I know Monica and all these things, so I feel like
what?
Yeah. So I feel like I have to, but I'm like you
didn't say that.
Literally,
Is there a stunt?
every conversation that I've in lately devolves into that. Like literally, a friend of mine who I drove to her wedding in New Orleans over the weekend. Like she texted me maybe 2 weeks ago. She's like,
I don't know anything about you anymore.
"Oh my God, have you seen that Cheer video or the Cheer Netflix? It's so good." And then 15 minutes later, "You're friends with Monica on Facebook?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, I cheered there." She's like,
That's
and this
cool.
is somebody I've known for like 10 years, and she was mad at me.
No,
So
that's hilarious.
I know.
Well,
But my goal now is to get Monica on Good Morning Texas with Lana.
I feel like that would be very easy to do, right?
Well, she said she already reached out to Netflix and they kind of turned her down. So I don't know.
Oh.
Well, I guess I just saw on Facebook today that they're up in they're in New York right now doing
Yeah.
the Today Show.
Casual.
Casual.
I'm sure they'll make their way back to. It's an hour away. You guys can make it out. I was thinking about that on the show because I've been pitched to film different TV concepts and
Yeah.
I've never pushed forward with anything. But
Why not?
well, there are a couple of things. Like there have been shows. Like I was initially pitched that right when I joined the Vouch team, there was some article that got published and someone from LA reached out and said, "We'd love to follow you around as you build Vouch." And I was like, no, because it didn't feel like it made sense at the time. They wanted to focus on like minority females building businesses. And I thought I like that. Thank you. But like half my investor meetings are confidential.
Mm-hmm.
My team's in New York. My developers are here, but I don't work with them on the day. Like it's a lot of just me by myself. So it was, and I don't have a very dramatic life. So I think they were looking
And the drama
for
you
me.
do have, you don't want to share.
Yeah. So no one sees that.
Yeah.
And like, even if they did, they'd be like, well, this is mild, nothing
Yeah.
exciting. But there was a point they were like, we could film this and we don't know where it's going to get picked up by. So you don't know. I'm
what's the
wondering
point?
if they filmed that show not knowing where it would go.
I was talking to Monica and she was saying that
Oh, casual. Damn. I don't have. Okay.
it's funny is like
I just finished. The reason why this is hitting me so hard is I just finished the show last night. So I'm like amped up.
But what's funny is like I've introduced you to somebody way more. Remember that email thing? Nothing
yeah.
ever came with that. But
Well, I'm gonna. So I have a note to follow up.
but like that to me is way.
No, that is no. I first of all screamed. I called my whole
Way.
team as if nothing had even been confirmed. Like still nothing has been confirmed. But I called
Yeah.
my team and was like, if we could figure something out with this could be really, really. And actually, I have another mutual friend. So I feel like I've got good things for that
Yeah.
particular situation. The only reason I'm very excited about this is because I just watched the show, and the part that I love about Monica is like she doesn't have a lot of emotions. She's either like super stoked or she's pissed.
And she's got that twang.
Yeah,
That's a real twang.
that's so funny.
And she looks the exact same.
Yeah.
Like she literally looks like the
Wow.
same she did like 10, 15 years ago.
That's amazing. I hope people say that about me.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I like that's what I'm thinking. Like they probably had no idea that it would get
Well, anyway.
picked up by Netflix, and then now they're
Well, they signed a 5-year deal before they even started.
with Netflix.
Yeah. Or
Oh,
not
so
maybe
maybe
not
they
a
did
5-year,
know.
but a 5-season deal.
Oh.
But I think that's a standard thing. Like you do a 5-year thing,
Yeah.
and then if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Oh, I was in contract negotiations with
For the Vouch show, or just
for another show that but
See,
the kind
to
of
me,
the,
that's way like you're talking about me like subtle drop. Like I was about to be,
oh. But okay, so the thing that I was
My
saying is
agent
like
didn't
I
like it.
signed into you could sign into an agreement. You're probably not even supposed to talk about this, but
Right.
sign into an agreement with a production company, and literally like you sign some of your rights away, if you will,
Yeah.
and you don't know when you sign with the production if it's going to be picked up by Netflix or Animal Planet. Like you don't or
Now that's a show I would like to watch. Wait a minute.
Oh, what's another small, like-
the range is either Netflix or Animal Planet.
like I don't know.
What
I
were you
mean,
doing
like
on this show?
or like a small hunting channel where they're like, then we have a small dating app that we, like you don't know.
Yeah.
So that's why I was speculating that maybe they didn't know that it would be picked up by Netflix,
Right.
and how to prepare for that, because it was the same thing as like we don't know if this could get streamed on Amazon Prime or end up on VH1,
Yeah.
which is I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing, but you know what I mean. Like you have no concept of
Well, that whole world is so weird to me, and
I do not understand it.
I talked to Alana about it yesterday a lot, and she was very authentic and real about it, but she wouldn't like. I know there's stories there.
Oh, I'm sure.
I know there's stories there. But like one of the questions I was asking was about how like what is it like knowing that you're talking to somebody who's an asshole or full of shit or whatever, and then well, you just I just try to make a good show, and I'm not trying to be disparaging, but I was like, come on now, give us some meat, get some dirt.
Yeah.
But like
she's so classy. She would never.
Yeah. Tommy gave me so much shade. And I said that earlier about how he was like, yeah, and you were so not well spoken.
Yeah.
And her being on really showed that.
Yeah.
But like I remember years and years and years ago, I was trying to do the whole acting world and being in that space. And I was friends with a hair and makeup dude for movies. And at the time, I thought we were friends. Later, I learned that he just thought I was bi-curious. Oh. Weird situation. And I was even his, like, maybe it was my fault for, maybe I was, anyway, I just thought he was a cool dude and a good friend. And so I was like his plus one to like a movie premiere thing here in Dallas. And I remember, hey, I'm going to the bathroom. I'm doing a bump. Do you want a bump? I'm like, I don't even know what a bump is. I was like, it was cocaine.
No, I know, but I was just trying to be.
You're trying to be classy.
I've never heard of that.
What's cocaine?
Yeah.
No, but I was just like, it was like so uniquely weird, and I don't want to bring that up at all. I don't know. It's just one of those.
It was just like a weird
memories.
the world of hair and makeup and Hollywood and all that.
Yeah.
Strange.
But I know what I was trying to get to is like, so HGTV. So I'm, been in the real estate world, and HGTV is some of the most. Some of it's really good shows. They're fun to watch, but it's so full of crap. Mm-hmm. Like I had a buddy who filmed a show here in Fort Worth, and I probably he did a show on HGTV somewhere in the country, and but the thing about that is like I've knew him for years as a real estate investor. Never once. I only met his wife once at a Habitat for Humanity thing. It was like a group investor come together, build a house. The show painted it as a husband and wife real estate team, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, no disrespect to you or your wife, but your wife doesn't.
She doesn't do anything. Yeah.
But that's what they wanted for the show. They wanted a husband and wife team, and he's like, "Yeah, she wanted to do the show, so we're doing the show." Yeah. Like he didn't really care. But it's just funny to me. Like it's like this so fake.
Yeah. So. Well, Vouch was co-founded by one of the Bachelors, and
I kind of knew that.
Yeah. So one of the most popular faces to ever come out of that show, which is one of the most valuable franchises, TV franchises for dating ever. And so it's funny because I host these big watch parties and the news comes out to cover it because we have one of the biggest ones that happens on a consistent basis. And, we laugh at the show because it is so dramatic and the girls are wild and you feel bad for them because, they've been given no food and just a lot of wine and it's late. And then, you want to think like, God,
here's
this
Rose.
is so...
Am I supposed to eat this?
Yeah, I'm starving. I could never be on that show because I like food too much. I was talking to a girl, she was on Temptation Island. She was like, we'd have to sit in the limos and eat. And then we'd go on a date and not eat on the date. And I was like, well, we joke about like how silly the production is and like, God, these producers work really hard. And it must be so fake. But Sean, who is part of the Vouch team, he and his wife, they are soulmates. Like they are perfect for each other. Their children are beautiful. They were made to meet on the show. And I want to hate on how dramatic and like such a production it is, but they are absolutely perfect for each other. And they wouldn't have, she lived in Seattle, he lived here. Like they would have never crossed paths.
So I've only seen one episode of The Bachelor.
What season was it?
I have no clue.
Oh.
It was actually my friend, the friend that just got married, that I went to her wedding, like she made me watch it. And I'm just like,
everyone's been forced into it.
And I'm like, why are you watching? Anyway. And I know like Howard Stern loves The Bachelor, all that stuff. But like I still don't get it. But what's funny is like when I lived in Dubai, completely detached from like American TV. Mm-hmm. So when I come back, at the time, like Dancing with the Stars was really popular. Yeah. Right. So I'm watching Dance with the Stars with my parents, and I'm like, I know her. And I was like, how the F is Melissa on Dancing with the Stars? And then I'm like Googling or figure out. So a girl that I went to college with who was a dancer at North Texas was on The Bachelor.
Rycroft or something?
Yeah. Melissa Rycroft, yeah. And I was just like, all this happened in the past year that I've been gone? What the hell? You know, it's not like, I mean, I knew her. I mean, I'm not friends with her anymore, but like, right, you know how if you're on a cheer team, dance team, you're right on buses together, you sit together, you hang out, have a beer, whatever. And I'm just like, what? And it just shows how quickly, like, that if you can like make it Bachelor, the popularity of that show, and then I think she made it to like Good Morning America or something like that.
Yeah, it's a good. I mean, if you do it right, I mean, I say that, but I hope people go on there because they really do want to meet somebody. But I think that they go on there knowing that they might not, and that if you're smart, you can do a lot of good with that. I think a lot of people have. It's funny. Sean tweeted the other day that he was like, it was the premiere of the Bachelor, and he was like, I'd like to wish these girls the best of luck on their new social media careers. Like, he knew he wasn't saying good luck finding love. He was, do something with this following you're about to build, because he had businesses that did, and it would launch future businesses that were, probably made, I don't want to say successful by, but supported definitely by the following and the loyalty that people really, they loved Sean. So it made a lot of sense.
You're like, I don't know why, but he's a cool
No,
dude.
oh my God. They're all lovely. It's been cool it's funny. I watched him, I think now 6 years ago, get married on live TV with the founding team that I work with now. Right. And then we text.
So how did they find you to be CEO of Vouch? Other than your amazing marketingness?
Well, So I worked, it's funny, LinkedIn. I have a friend named Jake Sloan who worked previously at Red Bull, and I had been connected to Red Bull through one of the galas. They wanted to sponsor or give us like a bunch of product. And so I met one of their really, really sweet girls on their brand and marketing team. And she was like, you gotta meet my boss, Jake. He, we're working on this thing with South by Southwest. You might be a good a good candidate to help us with this. And so I met Jake, who was wonderful. And he said, well, we're working on a collegiate entrepreneurship program. We'd like you to come coach or, mentor at South by Southwest. And I had only ever been there as a company, not as an individual who got to have any fun. So I thought, well, this would be a good opportunity. So I met Jake, and I just fell in love with Red Bull. Just does so much more than just sugar-free Red Bulls and running around with cans and handing them out. Like, they are a media distribution company. They do a lot on the philanthropy side. Philanthropy.
Same.
Both.
I don't know.
They do a lot to give back, and specifically with the collegiate entrepreneurship programs where they give them wings by giving them money and resources. And so I'd spent some time with Jake, and I just really, I adored that team, and spent all of South by with them. And the founding team of Vouch had put out this LinkedIn post saying, hey, we're about to raise a round of funding. We're looking for, and I found a screenshot of it. I'll send it to you actually. And it was, we're looking for a young, dynamic female CEO to run Vouch. We know we want it to be a female-led company. And so they were very specific, which in HR rules, I don't really think you're supposed to be. But it was a startup, and they knew that because Vouch was kind of aimed towards women and the safety and authenticity component of it, they wanted a female voice. And so Jake tagged me in that post. He went to college with some of the founding team, and so he tagged me in it a year and a half ago. And I thought, cool, I remember Vouch because of Sean, but I basically wanted to meet the team to connect them to somebody else. I had, at the time, zero interest or even thought I could be a part of the business. I just wanted to meet them so I could introduce them to somebody else.
Do you ever feel, I don't want to, I don't like the whole, I don't want to say imposter syndrome, but do you ever feel like jaded in any way that the only reason they hired me is because I'm young, I'm female, I'm attractive, whatever, and they were casting me versus hiring me for my qualifications?
So,
does that make sense? That question.
That was my first thought. Is it was right around the peak of the Me Too movement. There was a lot happening in the business world about trusting female voices in business and trusting that they were being truthful about even accusations, and just trusting the female voice was something that at the time was very it was very timely for this post to go out about Vouch. And so when I initially asked to meet the team, it was to call bullshit on this kind of PR play, to be honest. I was like, what? I mean, Jake wouldn't tag me in something. Jake wouldn't tag me in something he wouldn't personally vouch for. So I was like, there's got to be something going on that I'm missing. So I invited that co-founder to come to one of my Millennial Club events. And I said, I want you to pitch vouch. And then I want to talk to you afterwards about what this means and what you're looking for. And for me, they had really one shot to kind of accurately and genuinely give me a response, or I wasn't going to open up my network and introduce. I had a lot of people I thought would be a great fit for it. And again, at the time had didn't think I would participate in it at all. And I met the team and their response was, we've got an all male founding team. We've had trouble dating, but we've never been physically, concerned for our safety on a dating, app. I've never been worried someone's going to kidnap me. I've never been worried I'm going to be assaulted. I've never been verbally, abused online. I've never had these challenges. And so vouch in its kind of unique functionality is like, it allows friends to vouch for you, which is kind of a social thing, but it also has levels of like safety elements and accountability elements that don't exist on other platforms. So it started to be like, yes, this is social, but this is also something that's geared towards making a safer, more authentic experience. And who better to talk about that than someone who's struggled with that or could have a lot of friends that they could relate to that. And so when they told me, not only did they not feel comfortable advocating for this because they hadn't experienced it, that they thought, we trust that a woman who's been through concerns, similar concerns or worried about things happening on dating apps or even just online in general, is going to make smart decisions and thoughtful, personalized decisions about the product and marketing in the future. That isn't going to be fabricated. This isn't going to be something that's made up. This is something that's built because of real experiences and real, being able to get that feedback from friends. I mean, I've got most of my friends are married to, engaged to, about to have their first baby was with, or have married, living with somebody they met online, and they're very happy. But it took a lot of bullshit before that.
Right.
And some women have been, verbally assaulted online and sometimes worse. And so for me to join the team, I didn't want it to be a PR play. I didn't want it to be something that was just a title and a face, but I didn't get any equity in decision making. I didn't want that. Like, I was like, if you're going to give me this title, I really want to be the CEO. And whoever it is, I want, don't just
you
make
don't
it
want to be a puppet.
No. And, it was kind of a test to understand that. And they gave me more than what I had asked for in terms of, the reason and the thought process behind that. And then I looked at the team, like they were really good dudes who just hadn't been through that. So they had a really great idea, but it needed a face, a brand that could represent it and, be a relatable story in order for it to be successful, not just business wise, the marketing component for sure, but they also needed someone who had business experience that could go raise money, who could go, actually lead the actual infrastructure of the business.
Because again, a perception is, you do a ton of marketing. Mm-hmm. You did an event, I think yesterday or Monday mm-hmm. for the Bachelor Watch Party.
Yeah.
So you're doing a ton of marketing, mm-hmm. but again, the raising capital, the managing software developers, managing workflows, mm-hmm. like that's not the sexy part. The sexy part is dressing up and being on stage and hosting galas.
Yeah. That's the truth of it, is that I think I was a good fit for this because I could do both really well. If I had been, in my 40s with a ton of CEO level or C-suite level experience, could I also flip the switch and get on TV? Could I also host an event where we laugh and drink wine about The Bachelor? Could I do all of those things and be really versatile in that way? I don't know. I think that because I have the startup world experience layered with some corporate experience, that the two of them, I used what I loved and hated about both to create, my own leadership tactics and how I would. On the marketing side comes a lot more naturally. Like I feel more like a CMO in some instances than a CEO. But then, we've got some pretty big today, actually, some pretty big investor discussions with some really large groups that if it works out really well, it is going to change the face of dating if we can do this well. And I feel very honored to have both responsibilities where I get to build the brand and build how people relate to it, and we're still working on it. It's still so young. I've been with the team almost a year now. I announced it last Valentine's Day because I am the cheesy marketer, I guess. But it's been almost a year, and I feel like I now have the best grasp on where we're at as a business, where we're going, and then what daters think about it and what single people think about just online dating generally. And I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about ghosting and catfishing and a lot of words. Fleabagging is a new term. I mean, there's a lot. I've learned a lot.
What?
Yeah.
What is fleabagging?
Fleabagging is when I just read about this. I guess it has to do with the show Fleabag. There's a show where a girl will gets trapped into dating the same dude all the time. Like
the same type of dude or the actual same person?
Sometimes you date someone who's got similar characteristics, and then you go back to them even though it's just a ton of drama. And so if you're in a dating situation where it's just monotonous, same shit all the time, dating the same person, but you can't get away from it. It's very interesting. So even when you're on a dating app looking for someone new, you lean towards people who kind of resemble, even not physically, in personality and traits, the same person.
I see that because anytime on a date and it's only natural to talk about previous whatevers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh, that sounds horrible. Why would you put up with all those things? Da 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 da.
Yeah.
And then it's just Emma, and then they find a way to go back to something like that.
Of course.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So there's fleabagging. What's the other ones?
Catfishing. That one.
Yeah.
Ghosting.
That's
Someone texted me last night and said that she was using.
That's how I quit that last job.
You just ghosted him. Nice. Okay. It's beyond dating. You can just ghost somebody. Someone said that there's this thing.
I literally ghosted my friend's wedding. I went there.
Oh.
But I guess I don't. It's what? It's not. I knew because I drove to New Orleans. I knew I would only have 20 seconds of, and this is literally my best girlfriend. My only true female friend. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I have a lot of female friends, but she's the best one. But so I knew I was only going to get a 20 seconds of a hug, a hi, congratulations, here's a picture. So I was like, okay.
So you did that and you left?
Well, yeah. I actually just got a text from another friend that was there who was one of the bridesmaids. And he said, he's like, oh, let me just read it. But
that's not really ghost. That you did it's called a something goodbye. Where you don't say bye, you just
Irish
leave.
Goodbye.
Is that an Irish goodbye?
I think that's what I was.
It's the opposite of what Mexicans do. We sit and we say bye for 40 minutes.
Got to hug the whole family.
Hug and kiss the whole family. My dad hates it because my mom could talk for an hour and we're like, all right, we were leaving.
Yeah. What did he?
2 days ago.
My wife yells at me about it all the time. You take so long to leave.
See? If you don't kiss the aunts, the tias, everyone,
you're gonna get a call from mom because she got a call from them.
Yep. Exactly.
So this is a message from a dude who is a boyfriend of a girl that I've known for a lot of years. Not the girl that got married.
Got it.
So I don't really have a relationship with him. So we literally just friended on Facebook. He said, "Hey, had a blast at the wedding. Girlfriend's name was upset you Irished her. Tried to talk her off the ledge, but I would shoot her a love note if I was you." I was like, "Thanks, bro. I should probably do that."
No. Well, just do it the Mexican way. Stay for 3 extra days when you don't need to. No, ghosting is a serious thing. That wasn't a ghost. You did Irish goodbye.
Okay, Irish goodbye. Yeah.
Ghosting though is girls and guys.
Hey, I really like you, and then
we'll talk for weeks,
yes.
and there's no incentive, or no accountability where it's actually meet this person. You can just literally unmatch. Did you know that? On one of my girlfriends says she's been dating on Hinge. Again, I've never heard of it, but she has been dating these guys, and they say if she doesn't message fast enough that they just unmatch her. That way they don't have the ability to even communicate anymore. And I was like, that's rude. She's a busy professional.
The last girl I went on a date with, it was to me a great date. It was a great opportunity, great fun. We had a lot of good conversations leading up to it. This was not met on Vouch, but it was anyway.
We'll pretend.
What's that? We'll pretend.
Continue.
I met her on Vouch.
Unless it went terribly, then
no, it was. But to me, it was a great date.
Yeah.
Great conversations. Agreed to have a second date, and then there was a couple of text exchanges, and then just ghosting. And it was funny because I knew she was going to do that beforehand because in our conversations she had alluded to that she ghosts people, and I'm like, okay, well, I know you're going to ghost me. So it's not like I really had that much invested. She is cool. She is attractive. She's all the things that I would pursue in a girlfriend type.
Yeah.
But I'm not heartbroken, it's not it's whatever.
It's very strange that people,
at least she prefaced by saying, by the way, I ghost people. I'm like, okay.
That's a story of, I got to take note of that. How likely are you to ghost me on a date?
Yeah, that could be
Self-rated.
be like a feature in Vouch is like on a scale of 1 to 10, how ghosty are you?
Yeah. I mean, people are more inclined to just block your number, unfollow, whatever it is, than they are to just say, hey, you're great, but I'm talking to 17 other dudes and I don't want you to be one of, like, we have I mean, it's really hard.
That should be a feature as well. How many people are you talking to?
How many guys are you already,
I don't have patience for that. Like I'm a one.
But that's what
one person.
But that's what dating apps do. They unlock your ability to communicate with a lot of people
right.
that you might not have normally, communicated with at work or whatever it is. And it's kind of dehumanized us in that way, which is hard because I have to think about that.
So when in terms of dating for me, because I know in these dating apps there's all these like what are you like, especially with like eHarmony that doesn't exist. Whereas lists out all these features which you're looking for, and I'm like, I think that's a little ridiculous. For me, it comes down to 3 things.
I'm ready.
Am I attracted to you physically? Can I have a fun, engaging, continuous conversation? Are you going to kill me?
Yeah.
If you're not going to kill me,
pick 2. Which is 2?
Just pick 2. This is not a pick 2.
You can't have it all.
No.
You can't have it all. You have to pick 2.
No, pick 2.
This is a Venn diagram.
No. This is
Which
not
one?
This is not a pick 2 situation because like
that's how it is on dating apps.
Fast, good, or cheap, right? Pick 2.
I understand that. That's real
You
estate
get $6 and not killing you is worth 2. Have you ever seen those where you've like build the perfect man and you only can do it for $6 and you're like, damn, do I not want to get murdered?
But, did you ever see that show Vikings?
I'm aware. I don't know if I watched it.
I can't quote it, but there's a character like the female the most visible person from the show who's the most attractive. She's super gorgeous. But there's a moment in the show where a guy basically dethrones her, but then he falls in love with her and he wants her as a mate. And she's like, I will do this with you. Just know one day I will kill you.
Yeah.
So then there's this love story where they're just, did you say same?
So I was like, same? Well, no.
I thought you said same.
Same.
So anyway, in the whole arc of that show, that love story, they're having a great romantic time. And then he asked her to marry her and she's like, okay.
But
on their wedding day, she kills him.
No. Damn.
So that she walks out of the wedding tent and her bridal just covered in blood.
Of course.
And I'm your new queen.
Well.
Anyway.
But that's the thing. Those 3, you can't have it all.
I know you're super busy, so I know I need to get you out of here before you realize.
What time is it?
It's late.
Oh.
You're like, I have that investor meeting. I need to leave you now.
I got some time.
I do have a couple other questions.
Sure.
Bring it back to the vouch. What is your favorite thing about, and I don't want a BS like answer. I want like an authentic answer. What's your favorite thing about being the CEO of Vouch? What drives you every day? What's like, oh my God, I love this?
No, I mentioned a little bit before. I was like, I have a lot of friends and family that have met people online and are engaged. My little sister is engaged to somebody she met on
Vouch.
And years ago, like 5-6 years ago, and
before, she was on the pre-Vouch out.
Yeah, she was a original beta.
She's a beta tester Vouch.
And we adore him and we love him, but there were a lot of really unfortunate situations that happened before meeting the one and meeting the one that's great for you. And a lot of my friends had the same thing. I always joke when I first met the team, like I'm the mama bear of the friends. Like if those dudes don't make it through me, they don't get any further than that group date where we're all hanging out in the friend test. I'm big about handshakes. So if a guy, let me shake your hand. If a guy does one of these to me, I'm like because I have
quick?
I have a very small hand, but like I'm a big.
But if they just went,
I mean, literally, like I remember my friend had like a Bumble date and he was like, hi, nice to meet you. And I was like, I didn't know how to process it. And I just thought,
see, I would rather do it like this way.
You're just not very, like, it didn't feel like he was very proud or like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you hiding?
I want to hold it until it's creepy, until it's awkward.
Just don't let go.
Just don't let
Do you
go.
have a sound you could play?
I'll never
Something, hurry, quickly.
Oh,
it's me.
No.
But you know what I mean? Like that means so much to me. It's like a meaningful handshake. But anyway, all that to say that my favorite part of it is that that I have this very strange responsibility, a very cool responsibility to make something that women and men are really worried about being catfished more than they are about physical safety. They're worried they're going to show up on a date and someone's not going to look like the person they said, the picture they chose, or they're going to be in a relationship, or they're murderers. They are concerned about that, and women are concerned about safety. And my favorite part is that it's not a gimmick approach. We're not matching you based on what dogs you like or what smells you like or all of the 7,000 matchmaking type of, or like chemistry related questions I ask you. We're matching you based on kind of a couple social things that reflect real life. And I wouldn't have joined the team unless I would have felt comfortable giving this to a friend or a family member. And I would feel very confident all day long saying, this is a better place to date. And getting the stories of, it's kind of terrible, but when I stand on stage and speak at a panel, I have a line of people to tell me, oh, I've met my husband on Match, or I've met my, fiance on whatever. And then the line to tell me all of the terrible things that have happened on dating apps is twice as long. And the best part about being in the position that I am is if someone tells me something that is really upsetting and I hear it enough, I can build that into Vouch. I mean, silly it is, I can fix that. And we're, nimble and young enough and agile enough that if someone said to me tomorrow, I want to be able to rate how ghosty someone is. If enough people validate that, I could build it. And that's my favorite part.
I think for me, from being a large human, is I know I have a strong personality. Like, I know, like, if I can get somebody just to like talk to me, I can get them to like fall in love with me or whatever. But I don't play well in the digital space, because you look at a picture like, ugh. Yeah. Like,
How many people vouch for you?
None.
I vouched for you.
One.
No one else vouched for you?
I don't. I think I.
We'll look at it later.
I think I deleted all the apps.
But something that I liked about Vouch is that there was a girl that I think we both know. We can talk about later. She went on a date with somebody on Vouch, and she said, I would have not normally, this is not somebody I would like typically have picked on a dating app, but I saw that you vouched for him, and the thing you said about him was really meaningful to me, about how he cares about family and a couple of other things that I knew really well about this person. And they went out not because she literally said, I would have normally gone and swiped left, but I saw what you said about him, and that was so much more impactful than a picture, and that made the difference in me going on a date or not.
I think for me,
you need people vouching for you. Just like
I don't know anybody that's on Vouch to vouch for me.
I'll vouch for you. My vouch counts for 5 vouchers.
I forgot her name. Your a mutual marketer friend. Yeah. Anyway, because I think she was helping you with more. Anyway, the feedback I had at the time, and I don't know if y'all have added it, was like, I would love to share this on just. Give me an easy button to just share on Facebook.
You did share it on Facebook, and I remember thinking that was a lot more. I thought that was easy because you could open it up to people.
Yeah, but
scale.
I think at the time it was like I had to copy it and come over, open up a Facebook and do it, or I don't remember.
Yeah.
But like at the time it was like, if you just make it easier, it'd be easier to share this thing. I want to help you. I want to share. There you go, taking notes. But yeah, like an easy button to share, like a tweet or anything.
We didn't want to make it too easy that like if you were to post it somewhere where people you didn't want to write messages about you, or someone who might write something negative, like we wanted to be thoughtful with who you chose to vouch for you.
Oh, I'm just talking about to invite to the app.
I see what you're saying. We'll talk about it later.
So what's the worst? What do you hate about your current job? And hate, I know hate is a strong word, but like what disappoints you? What are things that you weren't anticipating? What are things that you're like, ugh, I really don't like this part of my job?
Well, for Vouch, I love working with people, but I'm by myself quite a bit, which I'm very independent. And so I'm losing my things here. I'm very independent, and so I don't mind a level of that, but I do love a good brainstorm session where we all get together and we all talk about things and make it really fun. And I've had that for years, and now I feel like I'm very much on a solo squad sometimes. I've got great people I can lean on, but they're not here. So it makes it a little bit harder to have that, like, guys, let's just crash all right, I'm over it. Crash you're
like, I need a whiteboard.
A whiteboard, conference room, do something like that, and let's just, brainstorm and get stuff together. I have a lot of responsibility, and it is hard for me to balance the product, the marketing, the fundraising. My brain switches from something like this to talking about our cap table to, talking about associated risks and all kinds of things that it's hard to do with a small team. So I'm really looking forward to building out a team that we can be really active. And I think that will unlock all the capabilities that we have. All these things we're talking about, you tell me them, it is now my responsibility to go build out the wireframes and how we would calculate how much this might cost us. And,
So for you, if I'm hearing correctly, the most, not disappointing, but at the current state is the fact that you don't necessarily have people to, even though
I have a very small team.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but maybe they're virtual.
Exactly. Yeah.
Versus, so hey, let's all high five. You don't have that, and it has to be a virtual text or a Slack message.
So even for good news, bad news, it's still very like a free agent feeling where I feel like I'm very much on my own.
Right.
But I kind of thrive on it a little bit because the great things that are going to happen are largely because I've pushed forward on a particular project, or, it's why I love, as cheesy as they are, I love doing these events where I get a bunch of single people together, or even taking people who can both use the app, get them in a room and have an event. And then I get to actually connect to the people who could potentially be a part of this. And it gives me that like a real life, in-person interactions that I might miss, while my team's not here.
So I know we've covered a random amount of ground here. We talked about cheerleading, talked about
Vikings
personas and Vikings and killing people and crazies.
Yeah.
What is like the most, like if somebody met you on the street, what is it that you wish they would, what do you think, what do you want the takeaway to be about you?
I think something that it took me a while to figure this out, to be honest. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to be known for. And I don't necessarily want to be known for Vouch. I don't want to be known for my photo booth company. I don't want to be known for Millennial Clubs. But I am one of the most reliable, and I execute. If you came to me today, and if you wanted to do this, please just let me know. If you came to me today and said, I wanted to find a way to host a event for real estate investors, all about marketing and social media, and I'm just making things up, and I want to do it 1 year from today, it is highly likely that I would make that happen in less than a year. Like I can, even though I might not know where to start, I'm going to take what you need. I'm going to get what we need to make it happen, and we're going to do it. Like I am not the type of person who says and then doesn't do. And someone the other day introduced me to someone else, which was another mutual friend, and says, if I text Christiana, even though I know she's busy, she usually responds pretty quickly. And it's usually with a solution. I've asked for a question, I've asked for help, and she brings that in usually a short time frame. Now, I'm not always like that, so I can't set that tone all the time, but I'm pretty quick to respond, and I'm pretty quick to say, if this is not, I'm not the expert, I've got someone for you. And if you want to build something, you come to me first. Like the photo, the dating app profile picture thing started off as like, oh, this could be fun. And then he said to me, let's make this into a business. You're the only person I think could actually make this happen. And so I don't know what that is. Like are
you going to make that into an event as well?
I think we can do. I think it could be a part of an event to like, hey, come get new candid photos where you're not, staged. It's not a portrait, but it's something fun, and bring your friends into it if you want, or get some good images of yourself. Like that's so important. And unless, I have a photographer and a videographer that work with me all the time, but if I didn't have that, how would I get photos? This is not just someone with an iPhone.
I don't want to pit my friend out too much, but like you could probably even use Tanner's studio.
That would be cool.
Like he has, like I literally just introduced him and Alana last night. So like, hey, y'all should do a segment over there or something.
Yeah.
Because the event I'm throwing, I'm actually throwing at his gallery.
Yeah.
So it only makes sense that a gallery could make for good headshots as well.
Yeah,
and
like a good backdrop to that.
What's that?
It could be a good backdrop to that.
Yeah, but you could also mixed in with a mixer event type thing as well.
Yeah. So I don't know how to summarize that other than, I'm reliable. And then if you trust me with the project, trust that it's almost, my fear is not that things are not going to work. My fear is that they actually do work, and I've got to like figure out how they're going to make it to do I need to set up a new bank account? Do we need to build a new brand? Like the photo booth company was I built those for myself. Like I told Jim, I rent these or similar setups that I feel like what's keeping us from doing this, and I host enough events that this is going to save me more money. Anything I'll invest into this. And then we did like 10 events in 6 days the other day. Like, it was nuts. And it was a scramble to like, okay, we've got an idea, but now this is a full-fledged business.
Well, I remember buying tablecloths and being looked at like, why the hell? Just rent them. I'm like, rental fee on tablecloths is $8 per cloth per
dumb.
event. I can buy a tablecloth for $16.
Oh, I've considered the linen business because of how
Linen
many.
is insane.
So stupid.
Anyway,
Rentals.
this is gonna be the final question, and this is my Tyler question, and it is: if there's gonna be a movie about your life, who would star you? Who would play you?
Who would play me? This is a very common question I've never actually thought about for myself. Do you have an answer? Do you know?
Anybody but Jack Black.
Is he still alive?
I love you. I love you to
He's
death.
still okay, right?
Yeah, he's fine. I'm just the fact that because the only reason I say that.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, and they're like, they've been dead for 4 years. I'm like, I cannot keep up.
No. The only reason I say it because everybody's like, oh, you told me so much of Jack Black,
Really?
especially when I had longer hair. Oh, you're Jack Black. I'm like, could
never
you
thought of
please
that.
choose anybody uglier than him in Hollywood?
I've somebody who's been okay. This is gonna sound strange, but I was saying to tell your friend Kate, is it Kaylee, to look at people that she looks at and is really inspired by. On the acting level, Eva Mendes, she's been married to, or maybe I actually don't know exactly my point, to Ryan Gosling, the most gorgeous human being. They are very private about their family life. They are very private about their their relationship. And she, on one side, has been a very successful person in film. And I have a quote from her. She's got a successful clothing and fashion line, does her own thing, obviously cares and loves her family, but she doesn't need the two in order to be successful. And one, I just think she's beautiful. So I'd love from someone to make me look great on camera. But I really, like, if I look at who she is as an individual, I would be very proud to have somebody like that doesn't rely on controversy. She's gorgeous and she totally could do whatever she wants, but she's been classy and appears to be quite humble in the process, and then takes care of her family, but doesn't leverage that to build a brand.
The cool thing about that question is like, it's basically a psychological question. Because what it does is...
Well, that's what I'm saying. I've heard this many times and I've just never thought about it for myself.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, it's the whole, how do you see yourself? So like when I asked Alana, her first answer was Selena Gomez, but then she quickly like went over to America, whoever.
Ferrera?
The one that played Ugly Betty. So like to me, and I don't have any background in psychology, but to me that says she sees herself as a rock star, but maybe she feels like she's supposed to downplay that. So, but for you with the whole Eva Mendes thing, it's like, okay, here's somebody that basically is exactly you at this moment in time, where you have your private life and you have your life and your public life, and you don't feel the need to, I don't want to say mix the two, but just, put it out there.
It's funny because somebody I also really admire who's done this pretty well and has had their fair share of controversy and things, but Jennifer Lopez has always been very public about her relationships, but you always think of her, now she's J-Lo and A-Rod. Even though she's J-Lo, you probably don't know anything about this, J-Lo and A-Rod are now a thing, and it's now the two associated together. They're engaged now, and even though she's done really well independently and all of her success is her own, her public and personal life just get mixed together. So people mourn the loss of these. I mean, she was married to all kinds of people, and you know it. Maybe you don't know it, but I know it. And you just associate like so much of that personal component to it.
And I'm trying to wrap up.
Sorry.
No. It's me, because I'm about to like jump on that. I think someone who does that very well is the Beyonce and Jay-Z thing. Like, because I don't see them. I know they're married, but I'm not like, and it's not like they're shying away from public life. They do stuff together all the time.
Oh, you don't remember the Lemonade album? How much do you know about? She blast.
Maybe not.
Blast. I mean, Jay-Z is publicly. I mean, they have publicly not promoted. They have capitalized on the fact that Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce. That was a Lemonade album. You gotta do your research, man. That was the best. That was a great album. If you're going through a breakup, Lemonade is what you need. They have capitalized on it. They also they did a tour right around that drama, so everyone thought we've got to go see them.
But I'm not saying they don't. I'm not saying they don't do that. I'm saying the J-Lo A-Rod thing. Like the fact that J-Lo has kind of lost.
Got really into Lemonade.
She's like, we should have started there. We should have started at lemonade. Next time we come in here, we'll.
Yeah.
So lemonade.
Lemonade.
It's like, let me tell you.
Yeah.
It's
No,
like,
I go what you're
That's
saying.
the point of my, not that obviously you should capitalize on you, whatever, but
Yeah.
that's because when I see Beyonce, I don't think Jay-Z. And when I think Jay-Z, I don't think about Beyonce. But they still do stuff together.
Maybe she's smarter than all of us because she's actually leveraged and made money on the fact that she has this relationship, but she can also do her solo tour and have her own thing and have Lemonade where it's even about Jay-Z, but it's not Jay-Z. That's still hers.
Well, and again, talking about Beyonce, this is the best podcast of all time. But
Vikings to Beyonce.
I saw that even when she did like a Netflix special, or no, she did like some kind of concert thingy at and she waived her payment for the event, but she wanted exclusive rights to the footage.
Yeah. And
then she went around and sold that to Netflix and made a special out of it. So like, obviously she's brilliant.
Yeah. She's super smart. And I think, she'll continue to do things like that where you feel like you've been out of the loop, and then she'll unveil almost everything in this really, maybe a way to monetize it, but in a very theatrical way. And maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll take all of this, and then one day I'm like, surprise guys, I've been documenting all of this. Here's everything I've ever done in my life.
There you go. Do you think she, after she made the hundreds or I don't know, millions and millions of dollars from the Lemonade album, she's like, you know what? That's fine that you cheated. Give me about 3 to 5 years and let's make album number 2. And we'll call this Apple Juice.
I mean, maybe. I have no idea. I think that I'm not a musician by any means. I'm not really an artist at all. But I think doing things like that is probably an artistic, probably cathartic experience where you get to say, this is what happened. We're moving on from it, but I'm going to write an album about it. I'm going to be very vocal about it because it didn't make her look bad. It made him look like an asshole.
Right.
Beyonce, if they're going to cheat on Beyonce, what do we all have? This could be Lemonade. Deserved a lot of awards.
So we can summarize by saying the whole point of Vouch is to not have to write a Lemonade album.
So you don't have to write Lemonade.
Or listen to it in a cathartic way. Just listen from entertainment, not in a work it out way.
Correct. That's how to summarize it all.
Download Vouch.
Download Vouch so you don't have to write a Lemonade album. Which camera do I look? Do I look into this one?
Sure.
Download Vouch so you don't have to. Oh, he's busy. Download Vouch so that you don't have to write a Lemonade album to get rid of all of your angry experiences. You're welcome. Thank you, Beyonce.
Well, thank you so much. As far as getting a hold of you, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn's a good spot.
Christiana Yebra.
Christiana. It's Christiana Margarita Yebra is my full name. Yes, LinkedIn. LinkedIn
and it's
is
Mexican, y'all.
It's It's so. I was born in El Paso. That's how.
Oh, that's real.
Yeah. Christiana Yebra, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm pretty much the same person everywhere. So yeah, good way to keep in contact. Cool. And yeah.
And I'm Ryan. Google me.
Google you.
You've
been great.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks. What time is it?
What you do to me.